She said, I have a standard. I know my worth. I know I'm valued. And that if I want to be treated well, I've got to treat my partner in that same way.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Kickass Couples Podcast. This is the place where we help committed couples who want to level up their marriage experience newfound clarity, hope, and confidence. We're Matthew and Kim, co-hosts and husband and wife.
In 26 years together, we've seen a lot and never thought it could be as good as it is right now. We're here to help you successfully navigate the messy, dirty, and wonderful world of marriage.
We believe all couples deserve and are capable of experiencing an extraordinary and fulfilling marriage. And each week, we're bringing you life lessons from real-life successful couples to help you grow and strengthen your relationship.
We'll get started right after this message.
If you want to learn how to experience the best, most fulfilling year of your marriage, we invite you to order Matthew's new book, Kickass Husband, Winning at Life, Marriage, and Sex. You can get it at Amazon.com or visit Matthew's website, www.matthewphoffman.com. Again, that's Amazon.com or www.matthewphoffman.com. And now, back to the show.
Rob Kessler is an accomplished inventor and entrepreneur who has made a name for himself in several different industries. He is best known as the co-founder of $1 Million Collar, a product that solves the common problem of dress shirt plackets sagging, wrinkling, and folding. Additionally, he has started his own dress shirt line called goTIELESS and a luxury charter business with his wife, Linda. This business grew to over $800,000 in revenue in 4 years thanks to Linda's organizational skills, focus on details, and creativity. They catered to athletes, celebrities, and business executives such as Beyonce, Pauly and Ron White on the luxury charter vessel named Bella. Before his success with $1 Million Collar, Rob built a screen printing and embroidery business called Nude, which eventually grew to over $1 million in revenue. Linda Kessler is an accomplished Hollywood stuntwoman and a passionate fitness enthusiast. She has lent her skills to over 70 TV shows and films, including serving as Taylor Swift's double in several music videos. Her husband inspired her to pursue certification as a personal trainer, and after college, she started a workout program in a nearby park by her home. Get ready to ride the wave of inspiration with these two unstoppable business gurus who have weathered every storm that life could throw their way. Discover how they've crafted the ultimate power couple dynamic by finding a way to seamlessly blend their business and love lives into one grand adventure. Welcome back, everybody, to the Kickass Couples Podcast. We are happy to be with you once again, and today we get to do a recap episode for Rob and Linda Kessler, a kick-ass couple that we had the pleasure of interviewing, and it was kind of neat because she is a stunt woman. That's one of her big jobs. She does fitness and some other things. And Rob has some great businesses and things he does too, but kind of fun to jump into Hollywood a little bit. And she's been a double for Taylor Swift and some other names you may have heard of, but really loved the energy and the playfulness that this couple had together. Kim?
Definitely a dynamic duo and a fun couple to speak with. And I think there's a lot of great information in this interview.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I think Rob, when we always ask them what makes them kick ass, what do they think? And Rob came in and said, I really always talk about our balance. And he said that there's a great symmetry that the two of them have together, and they play off each other with a lot of support, respect, and trust. And I think he said, we work together well. We get the signals. We know what the other one needs, and they each are committed to providing that. There's a lot of give and take. And I think in a lot of couples and relationships, sometimes you all, our listeners, probably know people you say, oh my gosh, he's always the leader or she's always the one out front. What I think was kind of neat about this couple, Kim, one of my big takeaways is that they change the leads and they take turns leading in the relationship based on the needs or what they find. And I thought that was kind of refreshing.
Yeah, they've really learned how to do that dance together. And in doing that, have really perfected a great relationship and how to navigate and sort of, like you said, let the other person lead. They're not neither one of them were sort of domineering. They knew when to back down and let the other one take the lead because of their strengths and vice versa. And you're right, that really stood out in this interview because I don't think every relationship has that ability.
No, I mean, often in a relationship, we'll walk away and go, wow, he really wears the pants in that family. Or, oh my
Right.
gosh, she really does. And, it's no fun to always be in one position in a relationship. When you do the same thing and the same roles, not only does it get boring, but it gets stale, it gets old. And also sometimes it can be a lot of work. One of the favorite things that Kim and I laugh about is I'll ask the male component of a relationship. I'll say, hey, do you guys want to get together? You want to do something? And sometimes the guy will go, oh, I don't know. I don't keep our calendar. I'll have to talk to my wife because she does all that. I'm like, all that? You don't have any clue what's going on that side? And everybody works it out differently. And I just think the excitement comes when there's leadership on both partners in the relationship, when everybody kind of takes a turn. And we certainly have our roles in our relationship where Kim and I take the lead in some things, but it's really fun to not always have to wear that hat, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. We talked to them a little bit about their histories and about how love was modeled in their families. And I think one thing to note is that it was very different for each of them. Rob grew up in a family where there was a divorce situation when he was a young boy, and he felt that his parents didn't model a healthy relationship to him. His dad was a business person, a very successful entrepreneur, and that's what he spent most of his time doing. That's what he was committed to. And the kids and the family felt that. And for his mom, I think that that's where she really kind of stepped in and was the person that gave him a lot of love and support. And even after the divorce, he said she was working 3 jobs, but still made the time and the effort to connect and to have him and his siblings spend time with her. And so that's sort of where they got that nurturing and the modeled behavior of commitment and love and care and support from a parent.
Yeah, and I think that Linda had a bit of a different background. Her parents are still together, and she said, I don't know if everything was super supportive. She said my dad was huge, and Linda learned how to fix things and to take charge and get involved and take the lead. And she's really into sports and fitness, and she plays basketball, does stuff in the yard, and then with her dad, and then she'd go inside and do the girly things with her mom and do plays. And so she said she had a great upbringing, and her parents are still together, and she brought that forward. And what I love is, we are all products of our background and who raised us and the things that were modeled or not modeled, and we bring those things forward. I think that Linda and Rob did a great job of bringing what they liked forward and creating some similarities in their own experience. They're competitive, they play together, and I think they did a great job of bringing forward what they liked and being intentional about creating those things in their own relationship, whether it's traditions, activities, how they treat each other, what they like to do. And I think it was great and refreshing to see how they were able to navigate that.
Are you tired of feeling like you're living with a roommate instead of a lover? Do you miss the days when you were completely into each other, intellectually, emotionally, and physically? The truth is, many couples are struggling behind closed doors. Putting on a brave face for the exhausting. If you want to get back your joy, return in your marriage, then Kickass Couples Coaching and Matthew P. Hoffman are here to help. Join us alone or with your partner and start taking steps towards overcoming the pain-filled obstacles and improving your relationship right now. For a limited time, we're offering a free relationship assessment call. Go to MatthewPHoffman.com/coaching to book your free call now so you can start making real changes in your most important relationship today.
Yeah, and I would even add to that even the things that they brought forward, which we all do in relationships that maybe weren't as positive, they brought those forward, but also recognized them and were willing to work through them and willing to really dig into that so that they could overcome those things together.
And that's a great segue kind of into commitment, Kim, because Rob started saying, relative to commitment, he goes, well, in my previous dating relationships, I was not committed. I was not faithful. I did what I wanted. And he said, I really didn't have the most healthy relationships. And I think he learned the lesson that, dating and marriage are different things, because he got into the relationship with Linda and he was bringing some of those old habits forward. And she's like, hold the phone, put the brakes on, that's not going to happen here. So I think he was really self-effacing and sharing, I had to learn what commitment in a relationship for life was going to be like. And I think he did. And he changed his ways and really went all in on commitment with Linda.
Yeah, I would agree. And what I loved is that he really realized and recognized that it's important to have boundaries, right? She was setting boundaries, but it was important to have those boundaries, and that he had to give up some of that old behavior and some of those old ways to have a new and better self, a new and better relationship. And so what I loved was that he said that I found out that in so doing that, it wasn't restrictive for me. It was freeing to me, because all of a sudden I'm in this relationship that I can be who I want to be, and I can really appreciate the safety of where I am in this relationship.
That's huge, Kim. And I think a lot of us, when we get into a relationship, and Kim and I are working on year 29 right now, and sometimes when your partner wants or needs something and you may not want or need that, doesn't rise to the top of your list, you feel like you're giving something up. Well, why am I losing? How come I don't get to do what I want to do? When in reality, when you make the decision a win for the us or for the relationship, you are winning. Because if it works for the relationship, you benefit. And I think that Rob kind of found that out early on, and they did a great job of demonstrating that going forward. And I really, when Linda was kind of talking about her sense of commitment, Kim, she said, I have a standard. I know my worth. I know I'm valued. And that if I want to be treated well, I've got to treat my partner in that same way.
Yeah.
And she committed to that. She for the thoughts and minds, plans together, instead of just the me mentality, she goes, I'm committed to what's best for us so we can thrive. Good for myself and good for the partner. And she was super strong in saying, I know what I'm worth. And sometimes in relationships, when people don't know what they're worth, or they don't feel valued, or they feel like they're not worthy, problems can arise out of that, because it leaves the other partner dominating and taking, and the other one maybe not getting all their needs met.
Now I want to kind of move into the conversation we had about communication, because we know that communication is at the root of almost everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they both, well, at least on Linda's part, she said that the smallest things are what are most important. It's those little gestures that happen on the day-to-day realm that really make a difference in their relationship in terms of communication.
Yeah, I think you're right. Can we say it often, small things often? And, Linda kind of said, it's not the big, huge, grand gestures and the showboating and the public declarations, but it's those little things consistently over time, every day.
Yeah, and they do little things like send each other gifts. Maybe it's flowers or little emojis throughout the day. And they really try to speak to each other's love language, but they don't do it as an apology. They just do it as, I thought of you in this moment and I wanted to do this for you. And so that it's unexpected and just so appreciated.
Yeah, I think that, she said he's never given me flowers as an apology, only because he's grateful in a loving gesture. So I think that a lot of times, a default for couples can be as, oh, shoot, I stepped in it. I messed up.
I need to get you something.
I need to do something nice for my partner. No, you need to do something nice for your partner every day in multiple ways. And communication, whether it's
Absolutely.
words, acts of service, It could be something in writing. It could be doing something for them that they will appreciate or value and not even telling them, because you're not looking for credit. You're not trying to get points, but you're committed to doing those little things throughout the day, every day, through communication, because it's from your love, not out of obligation. And I think and Rob said he was really self-effacing. He goes, I am not the best communicator. He said, I am working on it, but I do what's right when it matters, to know that, we've talked through things and I'm showing up and I'm present. So he did kind of admit and say, you know what, I know it's important and I'm working on it. And it's a struggle for me, but I'm going to circle back, make sure we've got understanding and that we've straightened the things out that might be between us.
Well, I think it's really about learning each other's communication styles. And I believe that they recognize that in their relationship, that they really needed to do that. And once they understood what those were, what those roles were for each of them, then they adapted to that and
Sure.
they understood what was happening and were better able to communicate. In relationships, we have people who are pursuers and then people who like to retreat, right? And don't want to really
distancers.
Right. I don't want to have this conversation right now. And I think once you realize what your spouse or partner's style is, then you're able to have those conversations around what those styles are about. Okay, so you like to retreat, you like to kind of run away a little bit. Okay, how can we still come back to that conversation and still make sure that we have those discussions without you feeling like I'm, coming at you and pushing you to do this.
Yeah, I mean, Linda goes, I'm a pusher. I hate the silence. And Rob's a little more, needs some time to reflect. Kim and I are different too. She is more of a distancer. She likes to put time and chew on things and think about them and come back. And I've had to learn, one of the dangers of the concept, the big takeaway for me, Kim, here is I don't want couples to think that they have to homogenize their communication. It's not about making the styles the same and doing
That's
it
right.
all.
It's just recognizing and valuing the difference.
Right. And understanding it and then saying, okay, I don't have to get stressed here. Just because he or she doesn't want to handle it now doesn't mean it's not going to be handled. It's going to be handled in a different way, and be cool with that because you understand how your partner needs to communicate. And I think they've done that well. And they are upfront saying we're different, but we know how to handle it and allow it to play out so everybody wins.
Sure.
Are you struggling to maintain the emotional and physical intimacy you once shared? Do you feel like you're spending more energy finding fault and tearing your partner down instead of magnifying their good and building them up? Don't worry, you're not alone. Many couples are struggling behind a forced smile and an inauthentic happiness. You feel drained, unheard, and more often than not, unappreciated. The good news is it's not too late to rekindle the flame and strengthen your bond. I'm offering a free relationship assessment call to help you take the first step towards revitalizing your relationship and reaching your own relationship nirvana. Whether you come alone or with your partner, I'm here to help you create the space for a more fulfilling and satisfying relationship. Don't wait any longer. Make the changes you need to thrive. Book your free call today at matthewphoffman.com/coaching. And let's get started on your journey to a kick-ass relationship.
What about conflict? Did you have any takeaways from conflict resolution?
I think that Lynn and Rob shared with us they didn't have a lot of conflict in their relationship.
Why is that, do you think?
Well, I think she said they've created mutual respect. And because they respect each other, they're not going to step on those landmines, walk through those explosions, and pull the triggers that get each other riled up. She said, we have enough respect in our relationship that, like she said, the worst case scenario is, hey, you're picking on me. One of them said to the other, you're picking on me and I don't want you to pick on me. It's me eating me up, blah, blah, blah. So she goes, okay, the person has to say their piece. The other one says, are you done? Yeah, we're done. I had to get that out. And now, she said there's no blow-ups because there's small moments and we allow the moments to occur. We address them and we move on, because underneath it all, undergirding those conflicts or dust-ups is a deep respect that they're both willing not to violate. So stuff occurs.
Yeah.
So she goes, we have our little frustrated moments, and then we work through them. We say that, well, oh gosh, we're kind of saying the same things, and we move on and through it.
Sure. What about their pillars that they really appreciated about each other?
You,
What stood out to you the most?
I think that when we talked about their favorite pillars and we look at those things, I think that Linda was talking about having to have fun. You got to have fun and playfulness. She goes, fun and humor is huge. And, she said, we are both super competitive and super athletic. They have beach volleyball court in their home, and they play. And there was a while, like they'd always be on separate teams, usually. And, she's like, hey, man, he was like spiking the ball in my face. And they had to talk about that and realize that they can be competitive, but in a constructive way, and bring out the best in each other. And you want to tell the story about their Uno games?
Yes. So they were keeping track of Uno games. I think they got up to past 500 games.
They have a spreadsheet.
A Google spreadsheet.
I know, of who's won, which game when.
Right. So you have to love and appreciate the competition that they bring to the relationship, but they do it in fun and in humor, and they're, poking at each other, and, they really appreciate and value having a good time together.
And part of the way they have fun and express that with each other is a little bit of grief, and a little busting the chops, like, oh, you're going to do that. Well, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I think
all in good fun, though.
Yeah. And I think Rob did know. I think he said, hey, I've got more wins in Uno than she does. And he wears that, and she grinds her teeth and says, oh, okay. All right, here you go. You're going to go there, are you? But there's a lot of playfulness there. And,
Sure.
When we talked about respect, one of the questions we ask our couple sometimes is, what does respect look like for you? And I think, Linda talked about how she respects herself and how she respects Rob. And I think that one of the things she said, we have a lot of self-respect. And which means, she said, she travels a lot. She could be gone for weeks, sometimes a month at a time. And she said, I am aware both publicly and privately, when I'm out there and there's a bunch of guys on a crew, she goes, I do nothing to flirt with them, to give them any inclination or idea. I have zero interest because I'm committed and I respect my husband so much. I'm not going to do anything, knowingly or unknowingly, hopefully, where he would feel disrespected. And she said, hey, when I'm gone, he's at home by himself, taking care of the house and taking care of the animals and doing his work.
And I'm having trust in that I can leave him and that he's not going to stray from the relationship. And so let's talk about that a little bit. There's, a couple different kinds of respect. And that is, there's that public and private, right? And in public, you have respect for your wife and you're showing that, and vice versa. In private, you're doing the same thing. And how you hold yourself accountable in the relationship and having that commitment to the relationship of trust it's huge.
It is. And if you're in your relationship, guys and women, everybody that's listening out there are things that you can do in your words, in your actions, in everything, the way you carry yourself, that show, hey, I respect my partner. I respect my spouse. One of the small things that I do, there is a chapter in my book, Kickass Husband, called Stand and Deliver. Whenever my wife, if we're sitting at a table, eating dinner at home or out in a restaurant or with friends at a party, if she gets up, I stand up, because it's not because I think I have to be chivalrous and do that for her. It's because I'm letting her know, I see you, I recognize, and out of respect, I'm recognizing your presence. When she comes back to the table, I do the same thing. And almost every time, and if it's not just my wife, it's other women in the group, I do that. They get embarrassed and they might say, oh, you don't have to do that. That's not important. Or they give their husband the elbow and say, how come you don't do that for me? Right? It's just a small way. And I hold the door for strangers, and I do the same thing for my wife. I get the car door for her. If we're walking in a city, I make sure I'm on the street side. Just, there's so many little things in what you think, say, and do. I try to praise her in public too, because she's worth it and she's deserving of it. And I want to let her know every way I can, I honor and respect her. And she does the same for me too.
And I think what those things do is build safety and security into the relationship. it really makes the other person feel heard, seen, valued, respected, as you were saying. And I think that those are important components to have in your relationship. It builds security, safety.
It does. And, just like I'm always looking for opportunities of things I can do to help her, is share the load, take a relief off, but take the load off for her. It's important for us all to have traditions and things that we do that express our trust, our appreciation, our gratitude. We've talked about communication today. It comes out verbally. We've talked about actions. We've talked about, doing things and not getting the credit. And I think this couple was just a great example, Kim, of a lot of those different ways of creating that safety net of respect and trust and commitment. And it was just refreshing. If you haven't listened to the whole episode, would encourage you to go back and do it. They're a lot of fun, and they are both successful in their own right, but have built greater success together because of their commitment to honor, respect, love, and cherish, and just a lot of fun.
Yes, go back and listen to the entire interview, and I know that you'll appreciate what you hear.
Yeah, check it out. And if you guys, anybody that's a listener right now is saying, man, I wish I had more of that in my relationship, or I want to see those things manifest for me, but I'm not sure how to get there, please take the time to go to MatthewPHoffman.com. You can get a free relationship assessment call. I'd love to talk to you and learn more about your relationship and see if there's anything I can do to support you in the journey that you're on. So thanks for joining us today. If you like this episode or others, please give us a like, shoot a review, and we'd love to hear what you think.
Remember, everybody, happily ever after doesn't just happen. It's on purpose.
That's all we've got for this episode of the Kickass Couples Podcast. If you like the content of this show, you'll love Matthew's newly released book, Kickass Husband, Winning at Life, Marriage, and Sex. To receive a digital mini book of quotes and images from the book, all you have to do is rate this show and leave a review in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen. Then email us a screenshot of your review at podcast@kickasscouplespodcast.com, and we'll get it over to you right away. Until next time, remember, happily ever after doesn't just happen, it's on purpose.